So when you are doing any growth or healing work, there is often a final stage that people completely forget about. So a lot of people feel like they've done the job of healing and growing and moving on from something. But without that final piece, the growth work doesn't integrate. So that final piece is softening. And softening is a term that I think people misconstrue a lot. So when people think of softening, people think of, I need to pour my heart out. I need to tell people exactly how I feel. I need to be really mushy and vulnerable and whatever. That's not entirely true. So softening is actually having the ability to have gone through something difficult, something challenging. Somebody might have hurt you, you might have been rejected, it might not have gone the way you wanted it to. And so you learn about things like your boundaries, what you will and won't accept, and you've done all of that. Softening at the end is realizing that there is a chance that things might not work out again. There is a chance that this might not align with you. But softening is sitting in the discomfort of what you used to do in the past and choosing differently. So what I mean by that is, for example, you might have an anxious or an avoidant attachment style. When you've done all the work, you've kind of seen that that's what you do, the ways that you sabotage previous relationships, the ways you've been guarded and you've not lent in. Softening and integrating that is saying that, for example, if you're anxious, if you are in a space of silence with somebody, often that triggers like crazy anxiety, overthinking. You want to kind of either have conflict with somebody who's created silence with you, or you want to overcompensate. You either want to people please or you want to have an argument about it. Softening would be sitting in that uncomfortable position of space and learning to be more comfortable with it, learning not to be reactive. If you are avoidant, when you feel like somebody is kind of overwhelming you emotionally, it's sitting in that discomfort of it instead of running away and taking space. So basically softening is almost the idea of not having action and not having a reaction to something that happens. So next time round you create a new pattern instead of reacting by producing an action such as overcompensating, retreating, kicking off, whatever it is that you usually have done. It's sitting in that uncomfortable feeling and not trying to react to it. So softening doesn't mean you then have to go, oh, I'm going to be super, super vulnerable and tell them everything about them, or I'm going to like gush everything out emotionally, or I'm going to have no boundaries, no self-respect, they can do what they want. That's not softening. Softening is learning that you can still have all these boundaries in place. You can still have a valid reason that you were guarded, but it's choosing to be different. It's choosing to sit with those uncomfortable feelings that the growth is required from you and choosing differently, because you will ultimately get a different outcome. If you lean into allowing space or not sitting in that runaway strategy and actually sitting with somebody instead of running away from them, you'll find that all your connections with people will get better. So a lot of people I've spoken to, they're like, yeah, I've done the growth work. I know all this shit about myself and I know all this stuff about why things didn't work out in the past, but they won't do the softening bit. So the loop or the growth keeps happening because that final bit of choosing to do something differently, especially when it's incredibly uncomfortable. For example, if you're an avoidant, emotional intensity is really uncomfortable for you. So it's completely natural that you want to run the other way. Or if you're anxious, somebody kind of saying, I need some space, really freaks you out. It's meant to be difficult because you're meant to be rewiring a pattern you had before. So you're meant to sit in it. And instead of trying to run away or trying to push this feeling away by doing more, it's actually doing less. It's actually just letting it sit there. That's the kind of final integration, because you're choosing actively, even when it's really difficult, to not react and to not produce an action. But every time you stand firm and you don't move you don't run, you don't overcompensate, you just stand in it, is where the power of that lessens, and actually you're kind of slowly releasing your attachment style and resetting it to a more secure attachment style. And that ultimately will help you move forward, whether it's with a relationship, work, family, to get stronger and healthier dynamics, and to finally integrate all that hard work that you've done by learning about yourself and putting it into practice.